Just making sure this is gonna come up on my laptop as well. Hey, how's it going? It's starting to load up here on my screen. I've been doing a simulcast kind of thing where I record on my phone and then keep up with the chat here on my laptop, and there's a little bit of a delay. The reason I do it is because I can get a better picture with my phone, but on my phone I can't keep up with the chat. So until I get a actual webcam that works better, um, this is what I'm going to go with. And also because of that, I won't be able to put your comments up here on the screen here on YouTube. But if I see something notable, I'll mention it on here and give you credit for it. This is lunch at the Nerds Table with Matt, and I've listed this one as the COVID recovery edition. If you tried to tune in last week and you were more than 12 minutes late, you missed it because I didn't make it the whole half hour. I was having some issues on Wednesday. I had a cough from Tuesday night into Wednesday. By dinner time on Wednesday, I was starting to have the chills and fever, and so I started taking some medication for that. And Thursday, my wife was working. She usually works from home, but she was working at the office that day, and so it was just me and the dog at home that day, and I was starting to have more chills. But I had the night before, or the day before, said that I was going to do a live stream, so I wanted to hold up my end of the bargain on that. Especially since the week before I punted, and I'd come back from a 3-day long field trip with my kiddo, and decided the week before not to do the live stream. So I really felt like I needed to do that one and hold up my end of the bargain. But I probably shouldn't have done it because I was sitting outside in the sunshine for like an hour before it was time to do the live stream, just so I could hopefully try to get rid of the chills. And then when it was time to go, it wasn't a product worth you guys having to sit through. So if you did sit through it, I do appreciate it, and I apologize. I should have just said, hey, I don't feel like it, and I'll try the next week or whatever. So as soon as I got done with that live stream, I was in the bed for like 8 hours straight and not feeling well. And my wife dragged me to the doctor on Friday, and it was revealed that I had not only COVID, but also the flu. And so I had a good mixture of virus interaction going on there. So started getting the right medication in me and a lot of rest. I missed a week of work. And I'm feeling a lot better now. My voice still doesn't sound 100% normal. And that might be the one issue I have here for the live stream. I know reading about a 10 or 15 minute long book for my kiddo at bedtime has kind of been a struggle, so I apologize for clearing my throat a few times or getting a drink of water. But I am typically one of those people that waits until something that is really popular runs its course before I indulge in it, and it seems that I have chosen to do that with COVID. It was all the rage a few years ago, but I waited 37 months before I decided to dip my toe in the water. And joking aside, I'm glad I did, because back when it was at its height, there was a lot of anxiety surrounding it. I just didn't have that anxiety to go with it. There was no fear that I was going to get so sick that I wasn't going to get better with anything like this. My main symptoms were cough. I had a headache that wouldn't go away for a couple of days. My fever was between 100 and 102 for about 3 days without dipping below 100. And chills that would turn instantly into hot flashes and go back, and so I couldn't keep my temperature regulated. And just body soreness, Didn't have the loss of taste or smell. Had a little bit of nausea, but didn't really have any issues with stomach or gut issues with that. So I'm about, let's see, today's Thursday again, so I'm about 7 or 8 days into the whole process. And so I feel better. I'm going to go have a follow up with the doctor that saw me last week, either today or tomorrow, and try to get approval to go back to work and kind of go back to life as normal. Big thanks to my wife for helping me, as I'm not sick very often. She takes care of me because I turned into a baby. And just really helping me make sure I took my medication on time, and especially when I was really out of it for hours and hours on end. So by Saturday, she started feeling bad, and so she got it as well. So she's on the medication on the road to recovery as well. Our kids, knock on wood, haven't gotten it yet, and they're in the middle of their state testing over the next couple of weeks. So we're hoping that they don't get it. So that's 6.5 minutes on COVID talk. So again, appreciate you guys for jumping back on with me today. So we do have a few people, so be sure to say something in the chat so I know you're here or who you are, and tell me where you're from. If you're not from the United States, let me know what country you're coming from. I always love to see different locations where this channel reaches out to. I've got friends as far away as Rome in the UK, Canada, some South American countries. Even Australia. So it's kind of a worldwide thing, which is crazy to me. But let me know where you're from. Hi to the Cisco Kid and Ray Cameron. I do appreciate y'all saying I'm glad I feel better. I am glad I feel better too. It's not a fun sickness. I had always kind of imagined that if I got sick with this kind of thing and had all this time off, that I would just, lay in bed and watch a bunch of Ghostbusters cartoons, or sit through a marathon of Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, and Afterlife. And I got through Ghostbusters, and then that was it. I was a good 2-hour movie was enough for me, and then I was ready for another nap. And so I did not watch as much of my favorite media as I thought that I would. So I'm not just going to talk about that all day here, but people had asked and were wondering how I was doing, and that's the update. So I should be 100% normal here in the next couple of days. The cool thing is, on Monday, this upcoming Monday, there is a local-ish, it's about 30 miles from here, improv that is going to be showing Ghostbusters there. And so me and at least one person that I know that's local here are thinking about going and getting suited up and going to see the movie with a crowd in gear, which I don't get to do very often, usually because it's stuff that happens on days when I'm working or about to work early the next morning. And this time it fell just right where I should be able to go. So assuming I don't have any relapses or anything, then that should be a fun experience. Ray's asking if I'm going to pick up one of the new 1-to-1 scale spirit packs. I was going to save that for a little bit, but since you asked, I'll go ahead and jump into it. First of all, no, I'm not planning on getting one, but that's not a slight on the offering itself. It looks like something that a lot of people have been asking for, especially if you're in that community of spirit modders, or you just like having a regular spirit pack. Having one that actually is the right scale, that's really cool. And that is a interesting offering that I really didn't see coming down the pipeline, especially since we just had the HasLab pack come out. There really wasn't any kind of whispers or anything that this was coming. So that is, it's cool that it is available, and I would, if I was in the position of somebody that didn't already have all this gear, that I would be happy to throw 250 bucks at it. I am a little questioning about the price, because it's going from about 80 to 85% scale to 100%. So they say, but the price is jumping by 3. You'd think that the original cost of the smaller pack that Spirit has offered, even the more deluxe one that just came out, was listed at 75 or 80 bucks, and so 3 times that would be 240, and so we're even above that. The good news is it is Spirit, and so if you can catch them in stock at a time when you have a good coupon, you might be able to knock 10 or 20% off of that. And with something that expensive, that does bring the price down quite a bit. So Ray says he's excited to see the mods people do. It's an improvement over the OG, but still plenty of room for tinkering around with it. It reminds me of the old school vacuum formed shell when you see the inside of it. I saw the pictures that AJ put up, and it looked like the pretty much everything is just molded onto the front. I mean, it's not going to have like a separate booster frame or crank knob or anything like that. So some of the things we've already been modifying on the smaller scale pack are the same kind of things that are going to be molded into this one. So, but it does have its own V-hook on it this time, so that is a major upgrade over the stupid pin and hole that they had in the side of the 85% scale one. And that was always my biggest knock on it. But considering price, that you get a wand, you get the pack, it's got a set of straps that they don't look to be any better than the ones that came with the deluxe 85% scale one. You get a full set of what you need, and you can go with it. It has the soft motherboard, and so that would be something that a lot of people will probably want to upgrade on that, so they can put an Alice frame on it. But these will look better with an Alice frame, because it always looked goofy having the smaller pack on an Alice frame. Just the dimensions were kind of comical with that. Vittorio is here. I was just talking about people from around the country that, or around the world, that I've interacted with here, and I was talking about my friend in Rome, and he popped up here. So hope you're doing well, sir. Thanks for hopping in here on the chat. And finally succeeded in not missing it. Part of it was my fault for not even making it halfway through the show last week, so I'm glad you could be here for this one. Aluminum motherboard probably be one of the first offerings for it. Yeah, so you can imagine that the people that are already on Etsy with their shops are going to have a field day once they get these in their hands and make some offerings. There'll be plenty of 3D prints and I would assume aluminum offerings for it. But kind of going back to what I was saying, for the price, you pretty much get the whole shebang. It's $150 less than the HasLab pack that didn't even come with a wand, unless you already had that on your own. So, and when you consider that, then it's about half price of what a HasLab pack would be. It's got the lights and sounds in it. I was a little disappointed to see that the buttons to trigger the lights and sounds on the thrower, there's like buttons that are down by the slow blow light, and that's where all the switches are, instead of on the main places where we would expect the switches to work. So that's a little wonky looking to me, but it's what you're wanting to do with it. It's if you're wanting to kind of have just a budget pack that will look good, that you can, you know, impress some friends that don't know the difference, then it's what you can get by with, and that's awesome. And you can do it without modification or whatever. If you want to put a little bit more money into it, try to make it a little bit more screen accurate, then that's it. If you're a person that wants to pay $2,000 for a Proton pack and all the parts and make it screen accurate, and not only just wow your friends that don't know anything about Ghostbusters, but really, have something top notch in the community, it's not going to be what you want. It's That's not the intent of it. That's not its place in the spectrum of Ghostbusters Proton packs, which is cool that there is one now. Because I remember I was telling somebody else 15 years ago, if this had been offered, then absolutely I would have bought one. But this was before anything was out there. If you wanted one, you had to make it. Nobody produced these. You had to either source the parts from somebody, or you went with the plans that were on GB Fans and you built your own out of whatever you could. And so you started having an eye for, oh, this kind of looks like this part, or this kind of looks like what I would need for this. Maybe this old PVC could be used for this or that. And so to me, it started to get a part of my brain working to where I would see parts that I would need just in junk and trash and things you would see around the hardware store, to where you could be able to build a pack. And if something had been ready-made, available off the shelf, or through an online store like this, where I could just drop $250 on it and be done, and then pair it with a uniform, then I never would have got into prop building whatsoever, be it packs or anything else. Because I'm not saying it makes you lazy, it just takes that ingenuity away from you. You don't have to make it on your own. You're not going to a lot of the times. You might say, on the other hand, once you have something like that in your hand and it's not quite exactly up to snuff where you would want it, then you would start tinkering and finding ways to modify it and make it better. But to me, that's a different part of the hobby. It's a different part of the brain that's being used, where you're taking something finished and then bringing it up to some other level. Starting from scratch and figuring out, okay, am I going to build this out of wood, or am I getting a vacuum formed shell? Am I going to, where am I going to buy all these parts from? Am I using resin? That's really not a issue that exists anymore. So kind of sad. And so now we live in a Ghostbuster society where you have the people that have been around for as long as some of us have, and some of them can be kind of snobbish, and it's like, yeah, I made my own, I built mine from scratch, and I used the right parts, and I made it screen accurate. And it doesn't have to be that way, because we all pretty much started from, I'm going to find something and cobble it together and make it look like a Proton pack. And being able to just go to the store and buy it anyway, that's fair. That's where we are now. And so we can have this spectrum of people that want to be builders, and people that just want to have something off the shelf. And let's not be jerks about it to each other, and just be happy with what we have and be proud of what we've made, if we've made something, or if we've invested something into a property or a prop that we're excited about. Then it's not anybody's right to get in your face or make fun of you for it. All right, let me check back with the chat here. Well, Spirit, thanks for jumping back in. Excuse me. Do you think the HasLab will make next? I'm hoping a Ghost Trap, and we'll see how good it will come out. I missed out on the Matty Collector. And we all started with the Kenner pack. Yeah, a lot of us old folks did. Some of us didn't even have the Kenner pack, and we're using just backpacks from school and whatever we can put together with a toilet paper roll, or paper towel roll or something like that. But the HasLab thing, I'm not going to comment on. I haven't really talked about it, but I was involved in a a focus group, and I do have a little inside knowledge on some things that are going on with certain companies, and I can't speak on that. So I do have maybe a little lead that some people don't have, but I can't speak on it due to some NDAs I had to sign on that. So it was a cool opportunity. I enjoyed being able to give my 2 cents on some things that were presented, but I probably shouldn't even say that much. So um, I did say a couple of weeks ago on my first live stream, start saving your money. Start saving your money. There will be things to buy. So, and again, we're outside right now of the media window where things aren't on screen, and so things aren't on shelves. As soon as things are on screen, things will be on shelves, and we will wish we had the money. So put the money away now, start saving up. So when that time does come and things are on shelves, you do have the cash in hand ready to pick that stuff up. So that is my advice to you. And I'm doing the same thing. All right. So that's my thoughts on the only other thing I wanted to talk about with the Spirit Pack is it's a Ghostbusters 1 pack. It's a basic Proton pack. So people that bought the Phoebe pack from HasLab and wanted to modify it back down to 84 or 89 pack, now you have the option of leaving it as a Phoebe pack and then paying another $250 and getting one that is more designed to look like the original Proton packs in terms of which movie they came from. So you don't have to modify it between movies to bring it back down to that 84 look. So so that's that. Before time's up here, I do want to keep it at 30 minutes. I'm trying to respect your guys' time. I know this is the middle of work day for some of you people, and I do not want to infringe and push this too far. Also, my voice probably can't take much more than 30 minutes. So I did want to point out, I didn't make a video on it, but I don't know if you'll be able to see. I did put pictures on Instagram of a new ribbon cable that I bought for my HasLab pack. I had no intention of making that change when I saw how hard it was evidently to take the stock cable clamp off of the HasLab ribbon cable. But then I saw a video from Wiggs, who has commented here on the channel quite a bit. He showed the right way to get right in the corners on the back with just a tiny little flathead screwdriver, and you can pop them open in 2 little spots right there in the very corners, and it'll come apart, and you can then force it back together when you put the right ribbon cable in there. So once I saw that could be done and I could use the existing cable clamp, then I decided to make the purchase. I got one that I bought from TGB Cablery on Etsy. So Jordan Oldham was kind enough to make one for me and send it over, and it looks great. It's right on par with the Fincher cable I have on my other pack sitting over there right now. So I'm really happy with the way that it looks, the design of it. It twists really nice. It was staying really nicely laminated, and plenty of length to get it all the way in there. So it's kind of a hybrid between a normal GB1 cable and one that was a little thinner that he was offering for Spirit packs. But that one was a little bit shorter, so this one has the length of a GB1 cable and the width of the Spirit one, just because there's a little bit less room here in the clamp for it to be able to fit in there just right. And so that's the reason. And so there's 3 different options there on his Etsy store. They're like $50, and I recommend them. The one that I got is really nice. So if you're in need for a ribbon cable and you don't want to wait for another run from Charles Fincher, either way you're going to get a good cable either from Fincher or from TGB cable reader on Etsy. Um, Ray says he's installing one on a HasLab today and get another clamp. Yeah, so literally I got just a little hobby screwdriver and the smallest flathead that I could get. Let's see if I can get it off here. Let me bring you guys closer. So, sorry, trying to angle it here. So right in the very edges, right there, if you just start wiggling the screwdriver down in there, and then it pops off these little metal plates in the back, these little pins. And then once you're done, you can just put it back together with, I just used some needle nose pliers and just softly kind of went across and put them back together where they needed to go. So I was really happy with how that went down and how easy that was. And I wouldn't have attempted it if it hadn't been for Wiggs showing how to do that on his channel. So I did send him an email and say thank you. So I do feel like I'm done with this now. That was the last thing that I really saw on this that I really wanted to change. Now I just need to eventually go back and start doing weathering. It's not my favorite part of a build, and I've been waiting until I was done before I start anything like that. And I still don't feel like I'm going to start it anytime soon, but that's where I'm at. I'm ready to be done with it, as far as not making any more changes to it. But you can tell the difference in the cables. One's a lot dirtier than the other, but it just doesn't have the same look as the other one. So 3 more minutes. The only other thing I wanted to show is something that I bought that's not Ghostbusters related, so indulge me on this one. I talked in my first live stream about how I was a big Texas Rangers fan. They're doing really well, so go team. And before that, I'm local to Dallas-Fort Worth sports, and so I grew up in a Dallas Cowboys fan base, and when they were winning their 3 out of 4 Super Bowls in that 4-year span in the early 90s, I was a huge fan. And then when they started really getting into a lot of legal trouble off the field, I didn't want to have those people be my not mentors, but people I would look up to as a teenager. And so I just got really turned off by the Cowboys. And so I'm still a casual observer. I listen to a lot of sports talk radio. That's the #1 team that they talk about. And so I still follow the team. I don't really have a super favorite team that, I really live and die with. So if I had to pick one that I was a fan of, it would still be the Cowboys, but I'm not one of those people that's going to get angry when you start throwing barbs about, haven't won in 30 years. I am aware. But my son's getting older. He's starting to enjoy football, and found something on eBay that was really exciting, and it was way more than I wanted to pay for as a buy it now, but they made it a auction, and the price came down, and I was able to buy it for 1/3 of the price it would have cost as a buy it now. And so I wanted to show that to you guys today. So there was a player that played for the team that has my last name, which is not a common last name. It's hard to find it. And his name was Jeff Swain. He plays for, I believe he plays for Tennessee now. He played for Jacksonville for a little bit, but he spent a couple of years in Dallas. And I was able to get not only one of the regular uniforms, but this is a Color Rush one, which was a specific one they only wore 1 or 2 times a year. And this is an on-field or a game-issued jersey. They would have extra ones that were in the lockers, so I don't know that this one actually was worn on the field. But this is a real deal uniform and belonged to the actual player. So he was a tight end, number 87, as you can see. And so I was able to get that for a reasonable price with some money I still had saved up from Christmas, and surprise my oldest son with that. So hopefully he doesn't wear it to school and destroy it. Um, but that was the one thing that was a pickup that I really wanted to show. It's not Ghostbusters related, and I realize that, so it might turn some of you guys off. Not everybody's into sports, but that's what I wanted to show you. I'm over my 30 minutes. I do appreciate all you guys for jumping in the chat and saying hi and being involved in this one. Hope you guys have a great day. I do intend on having another live stream next Thursday, so I hope you guys will try to carve out some time in your schedules if you can, or set a reminder to be a part of this. I know this is not the best time of day for everybody, but it's what works for me right now. And hopefully some of you are watching this on replay here on YouTube, even if you can't be here when I actually record it. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys soon, and I appreciate all of you. Have a great day. Bye.